Hi friends, this is Mohit from Moneyfront. Today we are going to talk about a topic which is very unknown in our country, right? In retired life, typically people struggle with many things. People struggle with their finances mostly. What I have seen in my own personal experience is that when you're retired, you are actually kind of dependent financially, personally, socially, emotionally, right? Some of these needs can be very well taken care of if you have a good social circle, if you have a good family, if you have children who are loving, caring, and if you have a caring wife or a spouse by your side. I think most of these things are well taken care of. Yet we keep coming across instances and episodes where we find people vulnerable at different points in time. And what are these kind of vulnerabilities? To my experience, number one is if you don't have enough finances or enough corpus accumulated to sustain through your period after age 60. Look, your income will stop, right? You will not be able to earn income or earn salaries on a regular basis, or at least earn as much as when you were earning in your prime days of your life. So when that stops, is your corpus sufficient enough to sustain for next 25 to 30 years? Supposing you stay alive till age 80, 85, 90, right? And if you're lucky, maybe even more than that. Is your corpus good enough to keep giving you that kind of a monthly income which will sustain those expenses for you perennially, which will take care of your medical expenses, which will take care of your traveling expenses and other lifestyle expenses? Even if you want to keep your lifestyle to the minimal possible, 30 years is a long time period to sustain from a accumulated corpus, right? So the first and the foremost problem which I see is people are financially not well equipped to take care of this kind of a long tenor. They can't anticipate what is the actual corpus required and how do they take care of their daily requirements. The second thing, and which we often see in our country, and more so in times in which we live, that children often stay separate from their parents, right? Now, there is a good part to it and there is a bad part to it. Good part is children more often than not do take care of their parents financially, emotionally, and other medically also. But then there could be those episodes, there could be those instances where children are just not bothered, just don't care about their parents and leave them to their own life and their own finances, right? And that could be a worst nightmare for any parent to handle, both socially and financially, right? Third scenario, which is very less prevalent but still could be there, that you don't have children, you don't have a family, right? So you are totally dependent on your own self to sustain your living, to sustain your finances, to sustain yourself emotionally and socially, right? And that is also one of the key challenges to handle with. Now, how do you handle these scenarios? How do you take care of a life where your children are not taking care of you, or your children are not there, or you don't have a sufficient enough financial corpus to kind of lead a very nice, decent lifestyle? Is there a mechanism when you can overcome this thing? Is there a solution which is available financially? Yes, there is. There is a solution, and that solution is called reverse mortgage. Yes, right. Now, today we'll explain this concept in a little bit of depth as to how to avail of a reverse mortgage loan. So, what exactly is reverse mortgage? Look, if you stay in your own house, which in India, the good part is most of you guys will have your own accommodation or your own house at least to live with. So your typical expenses are taken care of, right? Now that own house, which you have bought many years back, could become a life-sustaining thing for you. And how does that happen? When you buy a house in India, typically you take a loan from a bank or a financial institution and you pay that loan off in 10 to 20 years. You pay monthly EMIs to settle that loan. In a reverse mortgage, what happens is you lend that house to a financial institution, which means a financial institution or a bank will buy the house from you. You will be the lender of the house, bank will be the borrower, and bank will pay you monthly monies or monthly EMI to take care of your regular expenses. Yes, it sounds too good to be true, but that's actually the scenario. And reverse mortgage has been prominent in the country for fairly long while now. It's a concept which is very hugely popular and hugely prominent in Western countries, in US and European countries especially, where people in their old age kind of pledge their homes to financial institutions and get a monthly income in lieu of the home which sustains their life. I'm sure there are many questions around it. Let's tackle each question one by one. Let's take an example, right? So if you're an old couple, assuming your age is 60, the minimum qualification criteria is you have to be of age 60, right? Your spouse could be 2 years younger, your spouse could be age 58, but at least one of the spouses should have the property in their name, or it could be in joint name. If the property is not in your name, you can't take care of this, avail this facility, right? So what happens? You have a house. Let's say the valuation of that house in the current market price would be worth around, assume 1.5 crores, right? It could be in any of the metro cities, it could be whatever. I'm just taking a rough example. You can all put it to your own houses and see what the value of your house is. So the bank will come, value your house, and will give you up to 60% of the value of that house. So if your house is 1.5 crores, bank will give you a loan of 90 lakhs against it. How do you want to take that 90 lakhs? You can take some portion of it as lump sum, which is like your token first payment. It could be 10% or 15%. It will depend from institution to institution and how you kind of arrange your terms, but you can always take one portion as lump sum, and the remaining portion will be distributed to you as a monthly annuity. So every month you will receive EMIs from the bank for the tenure of 10 to 15 years. Typically in India, these loans are for a tenure of 15 years and not beyond that. There could be some institutes who give you for 20 years, but hota nahi hai. Mostly it is 10 to 15 years of tenure. So for next 10 to 15 years, every month you will receive an inflow from the bank, which will accumulate up to 60% of the cost of your property. So 90 lakh rupees will come to you in next 10 to 15 years, and that should be good enough for you to take care of your monthly expenses, your lifestyle, your travel, your health, your other bills, and you can have a very healthy, very nice and a socially dignified life without even being dependent on your children, dependent on your relatives, dependent on your social circle, and you can like really live with grace and full amount of confidence which you so very well deserve, right? What happens then? What happens to the house? And I'm sure there are many questions again around it. Look, so you will have three options. You will have an option A to reclaim back your house from the institute after paying the loan amount. So let's say if 90 lakhs was the overall amount plus interest charges and other charges and everything, if you pay back that amount anyhow to the bank, right, you can have some lump sum money which is coming out, or your children are willing to support you, or they are willing to buy the property. If they are willing to do that, they can any day take the property back from the financial institution by paying the lump sum amount back, and the house will be again in your name. The second option, which is even more interesting, is that let's say the property value appreciates from 1.5 crores to 2 crores. Tomorrow, after 10 years, the property can appreciate, right? Your market value can go up. At that point in time, if you find a buyer who is willing to value your property higher than the financial institution, financial institution valued it at 1.5 crore. If a buyer comes and he says, I'm willing to pay 2 crore, you can sell the house to the buyer, prepay the loan at any point in time, and keep the balance amount to yourself. So you will also have an option to sell your house to any buyer at any point in time or at the market value, prepay the full loan, and then keep the remaining amount aside. So your children can take it, your successors, your heir can take it, and you can also sell it. Suppose nothing of this sort happens, right? You continue to stay in your house. Yes, the bank after 10 years, 15 years, I'm sure you have this question in your mind that what happens after 15 years? How do I sustain then, right? And does the bank take away your house? No, they don't. Your house will remain in your name till the event of your death. Yes, you will continue to have ownership of your house till that time that you are living. After your death, basically the bank will take the house in their own control, in their own possession, and that's the end of the agreement. But even if you stay alive for next 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, you and your spouse will continue to remain in that house, keep living a dignified life. Obviously your loan tenure will stop, so you will have to then look out for other options of sustenance, but the bank will pay you enough amount of money from which you can save, and you can keep accumulating a corpus for the later life also. Or maybe given that scenario, after 15 years, if you think, you can again do a similar kind of an arrangement or some other arrangement, basically at a higher value. If someone is willing to value your property at a higher price, maybe then you can settle off the previous loan with the next loan, right? But those are all complicated things. keep assuming a simplistic scenario where you stay in the same house and you have some portion which you save from these monthly EMIs and the lump sum payment which the financial institution gives you, and you accumulate a small corpus for yourself which will then sustain you at a later stage in life. But this gives you immense amount of benefits, immense amount of flexibility. The trauma of not being dependent on someone, the trauma of not asking your children for financial help or going back to society asking for medical help, I think that is worth a life in itself. Basically, you will have a very well dignified, gracious life which you can live up to yourself with your own property. Trust me, that's your property. It's okay if you don't pass it on to next generations, but consume it for your own healthy life and a good lifestyle, right? One most important part which we have forgotten in this entire discussion is the money which you receive from as monthly EMIs from the financial institution is completely tax free. There is no income tax applicable on that money which you will receive every month. So be happy. The entire portion will be up to you. Keep the entire portion, keep spending, and just live peacefully with the entire amount of money which you have, right? So it's a great option, guys. Reverse mortgage. Who gives you this reverse mortgage? Most of the public sector banks. You can go to SBI. They have a desk which offers you reverse mortgage. Most of the public sector banks, Bank of Baroda and other big PSU banks will give you reverse mortgage. Some of the non-banking financial institutions will also offer you. You can check it out with HDFC also. They will also offer you. The rates are fairly competitive. There is some amount of processing fee, there is some amount of charges when you do that, but those are all worth it. It's worth the pain if you have a property in your own name. It's worth the pain to go through the entire hassle, but at least live a good peaceful life which is hassle free for you and your spouse. Last word before we close this video, in case you are planning to go for this thing, try and keep this as a lender of last resort. This is not a very common practice. Finally understand the complications and the things involved here. You will pledge your house. Your house will no longer pass on to your next generations. In a worst case scenario, it will be taken over by a bank or a financial institution post your life, which is okay to my mind if that gives you a healthy lifestyle, but then you have to be mentally comfortable that you are pledging your house for a good, safe, secured life, and that house will no longer go to your children or to your offsprings, right? And for people who don't have children, trust me, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that, because you then tend to consume your own assets, which you have so meticulously created in your own life with your hard-earned money. At least consume those assets. Consume those assets fully. Make the most of the monies which are coming in. Live a good life. Live a life which you really want to live. Live a life of your dreams. Fulfill all your ambitions. Travel the world and do whatever you want to do with that money, right? So finally, it gives you that kind of freedom, and freedom is worth much more than anything else in life at that stage, when you're retired and you're really looking for options to do much more and newer things in life. So that's a small video on reverse mortgage. If you have any questions, any queries around it, I at Moneyfront or our team at Moneyfront would be more than happy to help you out with the same, basically. And if you want any kind of goal planning for your own selves or for your retired lives, we are more than happy to help you and assist you in any manner. Thank you and have a great life.